Welcome to the Mrs. R Relevant Daily Draft Podcast. We are coming at you so fast. The Wednesday podcast is happening on Tuesday. Newt, thank you for being able to flip the time from your normal podcast to today. Drew, thank you for coming in and filling in for Owen. Drew, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Excited to be on here in this slot. Talk some college football. Never can complain about it.
Yeah. And
That's true.
Newt, I feel like we've been podcasting now for months, but this is only your second podcast back. There's still some shiny newness to it. How are things for you right now?
They're good. I'm still in the midst of soccer season. We won our regional championship, so our season lives on. So I'm kind of like still balancing coaching and this, but I'm good, man. We're like in the heart of college football for the NFL. Most teams have played 6-7 games. Damn it, why did I do that? Regardless of that little snafu, there's a lot of really good things going on with football, whether it be college or NFL.
Cool. Well, we are continuing our deep dive into the draft class. And this is going to be one of the better defensive line groupings, I think. We're going to be talking about these prospects: Christen Miller from Georgia, Heldt from Clemson, Zion Young from Missouri, Anthony Lucas from USC, Quintayvious Hutchins from Boston College, Gabe from Illinois, Tyreak Sapp from Florida, and R. Mason Thomas from Oklahoma. Drew, what did you have on Christen Miller?
Christian Miller, yeah, he's another one of this player in this defensive tackle class who I really enjoyed watching and I have high hopes for. As the screen shows, he's got good size, 6'4", 310 pounds. And man, is he strong. He's got a good blend of strength plus quickness for his size. I mean, you've seen him. He can take on blocks or he can split gaps, get in the penetration in the run game. His pass rush still is a little bit of questionable for me. I can see where he can develop into, and he could be a really good presence on the interior, but he's just not there right now. He can struggle against double teams trying to separate and penetrate against it, and his production just isn't there right now. No sacks, 1.5 tackles for loss, 6 pressures on the year. So he's not going to impact the game on the stat sheet, but make no mistake, if you turn on Georgia film, you're going to notice Miller in the middle.
I think that's really well said. And I really like what you mentioned about the pass rush plan. It's not there right now. There's almost like, and he's not the athlete. And I always blank right when I'm gonna bring a player up. Who was the Georgia defensive end last year that everyone was really hyped about?
Walker.
Yeah. Wait, no, not Walker.
I was like Dawkins, like Ingram Dawkins, Tyrion.
No, the lineman, the 4-eye.
I know what his name is.
Oh, Michael Williams.
Michael Williams. There we go. So, like, I don't know why I kept, like, having shades of Michael Williams when I was watching Christen Miller. But it kind of kept reminding me of this guy that's got a really high floor in terms of his run defense, and he's got that ability to develop into a pass rusher. Now, obviously, Michael Williams had that freaky athleticism that he paired with that, and Christen Miller is not that much of I shouldn't say not that much. He's not the athlete that Michael Williams is. He doesn't play that 4-eye or that edge position, but there's that high floor that you get in the run game, and you pair that with that pass rush potential that I really like from Christen Miller. One of the things that stood out to me, and I'm glad that you brought up his strength, I think the strength, especially throughout all parts of his body, like there was one clip that I threw out there on Twitter that was him just absolutely sideswiping Connor Lew and getting a free run at the Auburn quarterback. And it was just so impressive how quickly he was able to redirect with his hands and just overpower Lew. A really good center that we're talking about in college football right now, and blow up that play in terms of pushing it from the inside out. So I like Miller. I think I've got like a second-round grade on him, a lower second-round grade, but one that I think when it's all said and done, he'll probably be right around my top 50 prospects. I don't think I'll be in that first-round category, much to the reason that we talked about last year with other prospects, where I've got a guy that's got a high run. I want to see either both sides of the ball or some freaky traits if I'm going to go ahead and grab you in that top 32. I don't quite see that from him, but I think you're going to get a really safe player and one that could develop into even more than an early down lineman.
Drew, do you have a sense on what your grade would be, like round 1, day 2, day 3?
I couldn't agree more with what Newt just said. You've seen Miller sneaking into some of the round 1s for mock drafts, and I just don't know if I'm quite there yet. I think he's a great second-round prospect right now, someone out there. He'll be close to my top 50, but I'm just not quite there on the round 1 yet.
Okay. So, Newt, how does Christen Miller compare to Tyreak Williams from last year? Like, as far as like, oh, go ahead.
Well, I think that with Williams and Miller, you're getting kind of two different flavors along the line. I think with Williams, you're getting that true, like, one tech that can be a run stuffer, and he's just got the body frame to do that. I think that Miller's got a little bit more juice, but he doesn't have the anchor that Williams does. I think overall, if I was talking prospects, I think Miller's got a little bit higher of a floor. Miller's got a little bit higher of a ceiling, but Tyreak Williams coming out of Ohio State had a more refined game and had a higher floor, in my opinion.
Drew, anything to add to that relative to Tyreak Williams?
I mean, I can't say anything else. I think you said it perfectly.
Okay.
We'll agree to agree then. I love it.
Perfect.
Okay, so Newt, I remember when we were chatting, Will Heldt from Clemson, I think, was a new name for you. Like, not somebody that you had eyes on over the summer, right?
Correct. Yeah. Will Heldt wasn't. And I know, the conversation went like, hey, we're trying to hit top 175s here. Do we think Will Heldt's there? Do we want to replace him? And I'm paraphrasing, but in all caps, I was like, no, I love Will Heldt. Please don't. I'm watching yet again another Clemson guy after watching film on 3 other players along their defensive front. And so you're kind of like, oh, what new is this guy going to give me? Because I feel like I've already familiarized myself with the rest of this defensive line. And I'll put a little bit of an asterisk. He's playing on the other side of TJ Parker, and therefore the offensive scheming is going to be priority number 1 on Parker, number 2 on Heldt. So I do understand that in terms of his productivity and what he's seeing in terms of probably like the second best option. But man, it is hard to argue with what he's been able to do with his opportunities now at Clemson. So he came from Purdue last year. He wanted to transfer to a program that gave him a little bit more of an opportunity to showcase himself in a primetime role in a primetime situation. And side note, the number of players that have transferred out of Purdue that have been draft eligible is mind-blowing. That team needs to figure out how to keep their prospects and then to be able to actually put together a pretty good season. I digress. So he played over 700 snaps with them, 350 in 2024. In 2024, had 56 tackles, 10 tackles for a loss, 5 sacks, and a fumble recovery. And so he then now hops over to Clemson, where he has, and my stats are a little bit outdated, but I want to say this is as of like week 7. He had 18 pressures, and 6 of them resulted in sacks. That's per PFF. That is an incredible sack to pressure ratio. He's obviously, once again, getting some of those because of how things are getting schemed up to Parker. But if you take a look at his film, he has such a hot motor. The minute the snap is, or I should say, the minute the ball is snapped, right until the whistle, he is going, and there's nothing that's going to stop him outside of that referee's whistle. I think right now he does lack some power in his pass rush. He's very finesse heavy in terms of how he's getting to the quarterback. He's using his speed to get around the corner. And then with that, he's also kind of running himself out of the play at times. The tackle, if they're wise enough to what he's going to do, can push him beyond the pocket and really wipe him out. But that he's so successful with, it really makes me ecstatic when you pair that with his motor, that I'm like, man, this guy, if he's got the speed and he's got the corner ability to do this on a down-by-down basis, if you can add a counter move to that because he's exposing the inside shoulders of these offensive tackles so well that he's going to be able to take advantage. I really think that he could be an effective pass rusher at the next level. But I think that that's the one big thing that he's missing is just like a true pass rush plan that incorporates more than just his ability to get to the outside corner and then turn the corner to the quarterback. So I'm going to be a lot higher on him, I think, than others. I've got a round 3 grade on him. Drew, what are your thoughts on Will Heldt?
The first thing I thought of when I was looking at Will Heldt was all that I needed to hear from him or know from him was that Dabo went to the portal to get him. That shows me all I need to know. Dabo never goes to the portal, and he wanted to get Heldt to go to Clemson. So right off the bat, something is pointing that he's a stud. And going to the film, like you were saying, I really liked him a lot. Yeah, there's Peter Woods. Yeah, there's TJ Parker. There's a lot of studs in that Clemson defensive line who can help. But Heldt does a really good job of capitalizing on his opportunities. Other people have had those shots where, yeah, they might have an advantageous matchup, but they can't close on it. I mean, he's closed in 18, you said 6 sacks to 18 pressures, 33%. Yeah. You really like that? I mean, I'm liking what I see. There's still a little bit of development that needs to be done. I am a little bit lower than you, still pretty high. I would go early day 3 right now, probably 4th round. But I really like a lot of what I see from Will Heldt.
Hey, man, if you're 4th round on Will Heldt, I'll take that all day. Like, as long as we're not trading blows over, like, is he between 100 and 200? Like, I can get on board with that.
Yeah, so what was I going to ask? Oh, so there's always the other guy, right? Because if there's a corner on one side, if the corner on the other side is draftable, you tend to learn something, right? Because ultimately, all the attention to TJ Parker, Drew, I thought your point about he capitalizes on the opportunities is a really good one. So this was the first time that we had covered Will Heldt on a podcast, but you will hear several other draft professors talking about him as we evolve through the cycle. Okay, the next player, Zion Young from Missouri. Drew, what did you have?
I absolutely love Zion Young, and you know he's a beast when a student at the University of Kansas is praising a Missouri player. That's how you know he is amazing. But, I mean, I absolutely loved what I saw out of Zion Young. He's got, I mean, the first thing that stands out is his size, 6'5", 262 pounds. And he puts that on great. He might even be able to add a little bit. But he is insanely powerful. He hits like a truck. There is not a play where he's not trying to lay the other person out. And then he can bend the edge. He converts speed to power. He can bull rush. He's got a full toolbox of pass rush moves. There was one play against South Carolina where he had a beautiful spin move to counter. And, I mean, I just see a lot of pass rush potential from him. And then in the run game, he's just as good. He's insanely disruptive. You cannot put a tight end or something on that, or even sometimes a one lineman can struggle to keep him. He's able to win in so many different ways. Some of the things, double teams, you can take him out of the play, but if that's one of your big mark-offs, normally a pretty good sign. He doesn't have much experience in coverage, so you're not going to ask him to do much. He's got I'd say he has a good, not great first step off the line. That's not where he wins. But I absolutely love Zion Young. I'd say I have him as a round 1 grade right now. I am bullish on him.
Nice. I like that a lot. I think I'm probably a little bit lower on his pass rush right now, like that pass rush plan. I totally agree that it can be something where he can develop into it. I just think his hand placement's a little bit raw right now. I saw the spin move. I saw kind of the attempts to utilize a pass rush move on a offensive tackle. It seemed, I don't want to say sloppy because that sounds bad, because I think he's got enough athleticism where he's able to get by with that. But I think there's a handful of things that need to continue to progress forward. But I totally agree that the strength, I think, and I said, he converts speed to power so well. So he's got the ability to bend around the edge, like you said. He can then convert speed to power, which is such a dangerous 1-2 punch for when you're talking about winning against an offensive lineman. And then he does have the willingness to start to incorporate some of those things. So I've got like a round 2, round 3 grade on him, somewhere that's like kind of in that middle. But I really do like this guy. I love the fact that you're bullish on him with that first round grade. I think he's a fun player to watch, and I totally agree with everything else that you said.
I really like what you said about, because I do believe his hand placement, and he can sometimes be sloppy. He really is kind of streaky. There will be a set of plays where he's backfield, 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 making a huge play, and he's just
Yep.
unstoppable. Then you'll
Yeah,
see
I think it
another
was.
drive where he's a little bit more stagnant and can't quite get anything going. So you'd like to see him
Yeah,
get a little bit more consistent on that.
I want to say it was the Kansas game where I was watching him, and it was like first 3 plays. I was like, holy shit, this is going to be a highlight reel. And then like for a good, I don't know, 10-minute stretch in the all 22, he did quiet down a little bit. So I think that's going to play a little bit into it as well. But no, I think the highs are really, really high. And if he's able to kind of expand on those, it's going to be a fun player as we get deeper into the cycle.
Yep. You're talking about the Kansas game. I did the Kansas-Missouri game preview right before that game here. It was like my first ever podcast. And like I was looking at him, I'm like, okay, let's see the Zion Young guy. I'm like, okay, he could have an impact. And then as you said, that first drive, he's just making play. And I'm like, oh, great. It's going to be a long game.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at. It's like, man, this is nuts.
So, Newt, this draft class tends to have a lot of edges that are either you can set the edge against the run, but you don't have pass rush juice, or you're a bendy, twitchy edge that can't great pass rush but can't hold up against the run. As I'm listening to you and Drew, I think Zion Young might be profiling to be the third best edge that can play the run and the pass.
Yep. I've got him right now, as it currently stands, as edge 6. There are, though, every single edge in front of him on my rankings that I haven't actually done a fall evaluation for. So every player that's listed above him is based on my summer scouting grades. So he is the highest player that I've watched thus far that is going to be, like with what he's put out on tape this fall. And once again, like, when I'm saying, like, I got a second, third round grade on him, and my board is outdated, and I'm not putting, like, a ton of stock into this, but he's still sitting at, like, number 43 on my board. And a lot of players on there, I would imagine, because I'm a little bit more generous in the summer, probably are going to move back a little bit. So, once again, when I'm saying that, like, I see where Drew's talking about with that first round grade, like, right now on my board, he's 11 spots from that. Now, my grading doesn't quite equate out that way, but I still really like this guy a lot. And I think you hit the nail on the head. Like, he's putting both those things together, and that's what really shoots you up a board for me.
We see, and that's kind of where I was going. It's like, as I'm listening to you guys and like how you're grading him and what the assessment is this is a player, Zion Young, doesn't feel like he's an edge that has to come off the field, right? He's not going to be a liability on first or second down on running downs. Right. Drew, do you agree with that assessment?
Oh, 100%. He can be a 3-down player for a team. He's my edge 2 right now. There's some other players I want to dive back in again because I haven't watched them in a while. But, I mean, I think he can impact the game on every single down right now.
Okay.
Nice.
So, next player, Anthony Lucas from USC. Drew, what did you see?
If you close your eyes and you picture what you want an edge rusher to look like, it's Anthony Lucas. 6'5", 285 pounds. You can't get better prototypical size than that. And he's got insanely lengthy, long arms. He can use it to fend off opposing tight ends, opposing tackles. He's got a really good spin move, great, good hand usage at times. He's got good athleticism, high motor, experience in coverage. But I still have some concerns with him. He plays with high leverage from time to time. He's not as strong as I was thinking he would be with his frame. I was expecting him to dominate against the run and be able to hold his own, and I really didn't see that as much as I'd like. He's just not consistent yet. There will be plays where he's in the backfield instantly, makes a great move, and is in line to get the quarterback. And then there'll be a long time before the next one. So you'd like to see him more consistent, get back to the backfield more. And he's just really lacking on counter moves right now. If the tackle defends his first move, he'll become stagnant and out of the play. So you'd like to see him develop a couple more.
Man, I think you just read my scouting report. I'm not going to lie. That was exactly what I saw too. But Jim, what were you going to say?
Well, I was going to ask Drew, is that a day 3 or a day 2 grade?
I right now would have him either, I think, very early day 3 for me.
Okay.
Just with his size and athleticism, someone's going to take him. But I just want to see him get a little bit more consistent before I move him any higher.
Okay. Carry on, dude.
No, I once again, I agree. I watched the Michigan State game right away, and it was kind of another thing where I started watching this. I'm like, holy, am I going to just put this guy as a round one grade just because of some of those quick pops? And then just to put some numbers to what Drew said, this is from spring measurements, 6'5" and a quarter, 279 pounds, 33 3/8 inch arms, 10 3/4 inch hands. As far as my build category goes, he hit the top. You cannot get higher in terms of that. So I think the prototypical build was just spot on with that. The athleticism that he pairs with is really good too. I think he's a really good athlete. It's just a guy that hasn't put it all together yet. And you kind of wonder, if you're a senior, you spent a season at Texas A&M, who has a little bit of a history of producing really good defensive linemen, and now you're at USC and you spent, this is his third year there. When's it going to click? And I think the traits, the size and everything, because he's a true senior, you look at that, you might say, all right, well, we're an NFL team. I can absolutely talk myself into taking a gamble on that on day 3, though. And I think, that early day 3 is fair. I probably got him a little bit further back, but he's, or like a fringe day 3. I'm sorry, fringe third round is fair. I'm probably a little bit further back, but he's still a top 175 guy for me. I like him. I like the tools. I like the traits. I like his ability to play the run game, but it's just, you got to put it together. And he hasn't yet, and that kind of makes me a little bit weary of where he is. So I think Drew did a really good job of describing him. Okay,
so I have a question on Anthony Lucas, but I'm going to put a pin in it because I'm going to ask the question after we cover Tyreak Sapp. So the next player, Quintayvious Hutchins from Boston College. So Newt, I love it when I give a player, and I was pretty confident that he was a new player for you when the list came out, but I saw you tweeting on it. So what did you see when you watched Hutchins?
I really like Quintayvious Hutchins. It was one of those where it was kind of like the same thing as Lucas, where I was watching him and I'm like, oh man, am I gonna pop this guy up? He doesn't have the same build. So let's put that out there. You can see it on the screen, 6'3", 240 pounds. He is light, kind of almost a David Bailey type build, where you're all right, what are you gonna bring to this? But I think Quintayvious Hutchins, what he does is it's more than what you see in terms of the stats. It's more than what you see in terms of his frame. I think he's got a great first step off the line. I think the bend and the corner ability are really, really good. And I think the athleticism that he pairs is all there. I really like his length. I wish I had spring measurements on his length. I don't, but I think it looks like he almost has some viney type arms, where it's probably 33, maybe even touching 34 inches for his arms. I'd be willing to say that I bet it's right around there, because I think he's got a lot of those pieces that, when I see him and I see his arms extend in the run game, I think he's getting to the chest of an offensive tackle, and he's able to stack and shed appropriately. And that's why, for me, he's a guy that I think he's really good at playing both the early and later downs. And as we just talked about, that's going to be something that bumps you up for me. What I saw that, I'm going on and on and on about him. He's still, as it stands right now, my edge 16. It's a really early day 3 grade for me, because I really like this edge class, but I think he's still got to improve his hands. We're talking about a guy that is a redshirt senior, so I don't love that. I'd like to see it a little bit more. Maybe get this guy in an NFL system with the coaches at that system and see if that can improve. I think that he has a really high motor, and as we've talked about before, Jim, something that I'm obviously drawn to. If you're going to be a player that works your ass off, on every single down for the length of that play, I'm going to be drawn to you, and I'm probably going to give you a couple extra marks towards your draft grade. But I think part of that he's going to over pursue, and he can run himself out of the play. And at the end of the day, the weight is concerning. He's playing at 240 pounds. There are tight ends in the league that have 15 pounds on him. And if that's where you're going to be, and I'm not sure that he actually is even 240 pounds, it's something where you have to really show up beyond that. Now, I think the pass rush juice that he brings is solid. I think, like I said, the bend is good. He's got a really good center of mass that he's able to sink and go forward from there. He's able to generate some decent pressures. I'd like to see the sack numbers go up. One thing that I didn't love was where that sack was at. But he's got a true pass rush win percentage of over 30%. I look at that and I say, all right, sweet. That's like kind of where my threshold is. I want to see it there. Now can we turn that piece of a win rate into more productivity? I truly think it's a little bit more of his motor and that effort level that bump him up a little bit higher for me. But he's probably going to be a guy that I'm higher on ultimately than consensus. But definitely still some things that he needs to continue to improve upon as he stands right now.
So, Drew, what do you have on Quintayvious Hutchins from Boston College?
I mean, what else can be said than that? Newt said it perfectly. And I was really interested for what he was going to say because when you sent me the list, I saw Quintayvious Hutchins, and I hadn't heard of him before. So I look him up, and I see 6'3", 240. I'm like, oh, okay. What can he really be? And then I saw Newt's post on him on Twitter, and I go, okay. I see a lot from this guy. And then going to watch him, he's got juice, as he was saying. High motor, great first step, athletic. I really like there. It's just for me the weight and how will he handle to the NFL strength, NFL play level, which is why I have him a little bit lower. I'd say right now about 5th, 6th round, but I think a team is really going to like what they find in him just with his upside right now.
No, I love that. I think that's really well put. The strength is – I think the strength's going to be the biggest part is, when you step from, Boston College and you step into an NFL locker room and you're facing seasoned veterans at the tackle position, are you going to be able to, A, continue to set the edge that you were in college, and then B, are you going to be able to fight your way off of them, stack and shed, as you did before? And I think that you're going to need either a little bit more mass or you're going to have the world's strongest hands. So I think both of those are fair points.
So Brandon has a question in the chat. I think the answer is Caleb Banks. Who do you guys think is the tallest defensive line prospect?
It's got to be Banks. I mean,
Xavier Harris. He's, I think, 6'8".
Yeah, Xavier Harris, I think.
Xavier Harris.
He's like 6'8".
6'8", I think, is what he's at. Like high 6'7".
So spring measurements were 6'7" and an 8th on Xavier Harris.
Yep.
Which I think Caleb Banks is 6'6" and an 8th. So yeah, Xavier Harris is a good call there.
Okay, so Gabe Jacas from Illinois. Newt, had you seen Jacas when you were doing summer scouting?
Yeah, Jacas was. Man, he was like edge 6 for me, I think. Maybe even edge 5. I really liked Jacas. And I still really do like Jacas. I shouldn't say I really did. I think he continued to be the player that I saw over the summer, which is great because I think he's a phenomenal pass rusher. I think he's a very good athlete. And I think that he plays quicker than that 270 pounds would suggest, but I don't think he necessarily defends the run with what the 270 pounds would suggest. It's one of those things where when you see a guy that's built this way and you hear about the athletic profile, you get really excited, and that's what I have down. So like just a couple strengths, the solid pass rush profile. I think he can mix in speed. I think he can mix in like a bull rush or speed to power, especially. And I think his footwork is really good. That's something that a lot of guys lack, is the ability to continue to move their feet, chop, and get to a point where they're able to make that cut in or out as they need to. The production throughout his career, especially sophomore year, he probably took a little bit of a downturn, but last year and then into this year, once again, might stats aren't up to date, but at the time that I have them, it was 20 pressures and then 5 sacks from there. So a really good mark with that. And I think he's showing up against all levels. You take a look at him playing Oregon versus Ohio State versus whoever, and he's doing a really good job of continuing to be a presence in those games. And that's something that I think is going to carry on when you take a look at how NFL scouts evaluate him, where he's showing up against the highest levels. The problem is the consistency against the run. I would probably have him as a fringe first-round grade if he was able to finish plays as an edge defender against the run, if he was able to get into the backfield, if he was able to get off blocks. Like, he'll get wiped out and erased at times. And it's just something where I want to see a little bit more. I also have, he's got with his mass, the athleticism is there, but the twitch off the line isn't. So he doesn't explode like you might like. The mass is definitely going to be part of that. He's not going to get off like David Bailey might. And then I think also, and Jim, I'm a big stickler for this, tackle percentage has got to improve. 27.8% missed tackle rate that I have down. Hopefully it's a little bit lower by now, but you got to have a better wrap-up rate than that. So I got Jacas right now with a late third-round grade. Man, I wish it was like a second-round grade because I think he's got a second-round talent. But he's a 3-down build, but a 2-down play or a 1-down play style. So that's kind of where I'm at.
Got it. Drew, where are you on Gabe Jacas right now?
I love the 3-down build, 1-down play style because that's exactly what he is. The run game, going into it, you're expecting so much, then it just kind of falls off. Again, I watched the USC game. That was one of my favorites to watch of him. The read option, he is just unable to defend on the edge right now. He overcommits every time and allowed the quarterback to get a free lane rushing. And Jaden Mayava is not the fastest quarterback ever. He won't kill you with his legs. But he was getting a solid 10-plus yards every single time because there's just a ton of space over there. So you need to see that improve. From a pass rushing standpoint, one of the biggest things I look for on a defensive lineman is if they have a wrestling background. I love to see a wrestling background for a defensive lineman. Jacas was a former state wrestling. I believe he's from Florida in high school. So he's an amazing wrestler, and you can see that with his hand usage. He's violent. He's throwing guys off. It's
state
very
champion wrestler.
State champion, yeah, right there. He was a great one, and it's exactly what you'd like to see. It's like Mason Graham last year. He had that big wrestling background. You could see it while he plays, and Jacas does a great job of translating that. Insane athlete, number 59 on Bruce Feldman's freak list. Feldman put that he hit over 20 miles per hour on the GPS and benched 225 for over 30 reps. So he is a great athlete. I really like the pass rush. Just need to see him improve in the run.
So a couple interesting facts about Gabe Jacas. So we covered Illinois several times earlier in the season doing Illinois game previews. And shout out to the reporter from Champaign, Illinois that joined our podcast. I don't remember the gentleman's name, but he's in the locker room with the Illinois players. Gabe Jacas trains with Lawrence Taylor's Taekwondo coach.
Oh,
that's wild.
Yeah, so you just learn interesting little nuggets about the players. So, anyways, interesting fact there. Okay, Tyreak Sapp from Florida. Drew, where are you on Tyreak Sapp right now?
I'm a little bit lower than the other guys I've had on this podcast so far. I mean, from the size, 6'2", 274, pretty good size, a little bit small, but with the weight's there, the strength is there. He's very powerful on the edge. He can set the edge really well. He's great against the run, really disruptive. His hand usage, strong, violent. He's an extremely violent player, but I really like what I see there. But just pass rush, you're not going to get much from him. I feel like he's got a mediocre first step and burst off the line. He doesn't really have much of a plan right now when he goes into it, just trying to win with power and some hand usage. And the production right now for him this season just isn't there. 1 sack, 3 tackles for loss, and 19 pressures, which the pressures aren't bad. He's just not converting them right now. And I think that is with a lack of speed or athleticism because the quarterbacks are just able to escape the pocket right now on him.
I like that. I think it's really well said. I will say, so he's got a shorter frame, He's actually kind of got an ideal build when you talk about the height to be able to create leverage. He's got 33 and 3/4 inch arms. So you like to see that when you talk about the length for him. And kind of like when I was able to get in on that, I was like, all right, I'll actually take that for a build. Maybe not covering as much ground as a guy that's 6'5", but as long as you got the length for your arm reach, I'm totally fine with that. But I think it's put really well. You know, we talk about Gabe Jacas, where he's a guy that is phenomenal as a pass rusher and brings all the juice. And the minute it hits the run game, we want more. Tyreak Sapp is the complete opposite of that, where, man, he is so good when it comes to defending the run. I'm not going to say that, like, he is the best run defender in this class, but I think he's a really good run defending edge player. He doesn't bring any juice when it comes to the pass rush. Like, I got down a true pass rush win rate of less than 10%. As an edge rusher, you cannot have that. 2 sacks, which is great given those numbers, but the total pressures are down. Everything with how he's playing is down. And given that Florida defensive line and what they're able to do, you'd have to imagine that he's going to have some opportunities to kind of feast on his own. And, you know, maybe it's like the absence of Caleb Banks. It's like, all right, well, how much are they really missing that interior presence that it's affecting the exterior players as well? That might play a role into it. But I think then that, like, just kind of showcases a little bit more what Tyreak Sapp is as a player. I like him as a safety net, early down edge defender, but players like that don't go early in the NFL draft. They're going to be ones that you'll grab to have a kind of safe landing spot if all else fails. So I've also got him with a 3rd round grade right now. He's still like an early 3rd round player for me because I do think that he does bring a handful of things I like to build, but definitely not a player that I'm probably going to reach into day 2 for.
Okay, so a couple questions. Did either of you watch 2024 Tyreak Sapp, or is your eval only on 2025 tape?
My eval's all this year.
I did watch 2024 Tyreak Sapp.
Okay, so because we've covered Tyreak Sapp several times, right? We did a Florida game preview team preview over the summer, and then we've done several Florida team previews earlier in this draft cycle. If I remember correctly, one of the questions coming out of the summer was, what position is he? So 2024, he was playing some 3-tech as well as some edge. It sounds to me, like, listening to both of you guys, that he has been playing edge this year. Is that a fair statement?
It's been a lot of 4-eye. So he's been, and he'll kind of bounce into a couple spots, but they'll play like an odd front, and you'll see him at that 4-eye from time to time. But yeah, and Drew, from what you've seen, it's been mostly like tackle on out, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. And then Newt, so you were already driving to the point. So do you see Sapp as a 4-3 edge or a 3-4 defensive end? Do you see his fit being, like, would he be higher for a 3-4 team than he would for a 4-3 team?
I'd like him a lot more in a 3-4 system. I think that he's got the mass to hold up as a defensive end in that system, but he also brings you that play strength and that anchor ability in a odd man front, where I think that he could be an effective player in that. I still don't think you're going to get a ton from him as far as juice on the pass rush, but I think you find a little bit more of a prominent role in that system.
How about you, Drew?
I mean, I can agree more. I think right now he's definitely going to be higher on the boards, like Newt said, for those teams. But, I mean, you never know. If he develops a little bit more in pass rush, he could. But I think right now that's his best role.
Yeah.
Okay. Last player, R. Mason Thomas from Oklahoma. Drew, what do you have on the 6'2", 249-pound edge player?
I'll be honest, like, the frame isn't the best, 249, But I was expecting a lot going into this because you hear a lot of scouts and they're in love with R. Mason Thomas. He's one of the players that I've seen a lot of people fall in love with. And I do see why. I'm personally not quite there yet, but he's got great bend around the edge. He's got great speed and flexibility so he can get there. He's relentless. He won't give up on a play. There was one, I believe it was against Texas. They threw a screen to the opposite side, and from the other side, Mason Thomas went all the way over there to get it. He's got good hand usage, versatile, can drop back into coverage. He's got that natural built-in leverage that he can use to push and use some power despite only being 249 pounds. He excels at navigating and splitting gaps to penetrate the backfield run games. You wouldn't expect him to be able to make some of these big stops in the run, but he does have some good highlight moments from that. And he's just got good acceleration off the line. I mean, that's what you expect from someone like this. Yeah. And then small frame, like I was saying, he can get pushed around if a lineman gets his hands on him. If you have an aggressive lineman and they start pushing him north and south, it's not looking good for him. He can get erased from a play. And just the concerns about the strength at the point of attack right now.
No, I think it's really, really well put for that. The strength is going to be a big thing, but that comes with the frame. I mentioned with Sapp, like the arm length is kind of a plus when you get a guy that's 6'2", but then he's got fines for arms. Mason Thomas does not. He's got like 31 3/4 inch arms. So his arms kind of fit the frame that you would expect. Not the most ideal, but man, like even with that being said, he has so much juice when he comes off the edge. He is phenomenal in his ability to consistently disrupt over and over and over. I think he's a designated pass rusher at the next level. I really don't know if he's going to be a player where you're even going to consider, hey, toss on, 20 more pounds, or no, that'd be way too much. Toss on 10 more pounds and try to, play these 3 downs. I don't think that's going to be the case for him. I think he's going to be a juiced up edge rusher that teams are going to come in on 3rd down and say, all right, get after the quarterback, because he does it so incredibly well. And he's proven that he has the pass rush bag to be able to do that with his speed, with a really great counter move, and the ability, even in there, like we're talking about him not having a ton of power, he still converts speed to power really well, just with how much he threatens that outside shoulder. He's able to get tackles onto their heels and then just light them up and push them all the way back to the quarterback. So he's so much fun to watch within there. He actually has gotten a little bit better in run defense at that size. Like that has improved a little bit from last year to this year. His tackling rate, not great, but it has improved a little bit from last year to this year, right? As I have these, once again, it's like 18.8% missed tackle rate. Not great, but I think we're like in the 20s before. So a guy that I like him for what he does, but once again, he's going to be the type of player. It's not even like an Jacas where we're talking about a guy that's got the frame, but he just doesn't do it. R. Mason Thomas, he doesn't have the frame to do it. He's doing what he should be doing really well, and I don't know how much you're going to get out of that, but man, he's really bringing everything he's got. I like what Drew mentioned also about the effort. I love that from him.
So, couple questions. R. Mason Thomas, could he play off-ball linebacker?
I'm so bad about evaluating coverage for edge rushers.
I didn't mind a lot of from when he did drop back into coverage. I didn't mind what I saw. I mean, I'm going to have to see a lot of it more, and he's going to have to develop at it just because he doesn't do it enough at Oklahoma to instantly translate to the NFL. But right now, I do believe he has the traits and the potential to develop into someone that could potentially drop back into coverage more often.
Okay. And then there was a question on Tyreak Sapp, and I didn't ask it when we were on Sapp, but if you had to compare Tyreak Sapp to Anthony Lucas, right? So Tyreak Sapp went like 6'2", and he was like in the 270 range, and then Lucas was like 6'4", 6'5", 285. Do you look at their bodies as being two different body types, and then are they playing the same role? Drew, any thoughts on that?
The body types is tough. I mean, I think they have similar strength with their body, but I do believe they're different just with the way they're spread out. Sapp's body, it's going to give him a lot more strength and natural leverage, which will help in the run game. But it's going to be a lot tougher for him to get off the ball quick and do a lot of the agility stuff as Lucas, who's just a little bit more spread out in the way it is. And I do believe they will have a little bit different roles right now. I just think Anthony Lucas is a better pass rusher, and I think he's going to be given the opportunity more than Sapp right now. He just has to develop into it, and once it clicks, it's going to for Lucas. While I believe Sapp just is too raw at it right now, just hasn't shown us anything yet. So I do just think he's a little bit farther along.
Yeah, I think that stout build from Sapp is going to be something that you're going to want to use with him going head up against offensive linemen, where he's going to be able to take them, and then that natural strength he's going to be getting from being a little bit more compact, give him the ability to kind of work off those guys. Where Anthony Lucas, you got 6'5" frame. You're talking about, hey, take advantage of those strides, do what you do best, get around the corner, use that athleticism, and continue to try to get after a quarterback in that way. I don't want to see him engaging with an offensive tackle. I want to see him using the elusivity that he has with that athleticism, with that frame, and trying to beat an offensive tackle rather than going at an offensive tackle.
Yeah. So, Newt, if you had to choose between Tyreak, Sapp, and Anthony Lucas, which player do you prefer?
I've got Sapp higher on my board right now. I think that what you're getting from Sapp is a little bit more polished, and you're getting a player that what you have, where Anthony Lucas could turn into a stud. Anthony Lucas could not make the team that he's drafted by, and that scares me a little bit. If I was wanting to pick one of these players that could turn into a starter on an NFL roster, I'm going to go Lucas. But I think Sapp gives you a little bit more right now in terms of predictability, and he has a clearly defined role that he can flow into. Where Lucas, you're kind of drafting a project.
Drew, any thoughts on that? Yeah, I love what Newt said, and Sapp has the higher floor, but a team will. I think Lucas might get picked higher if a team believes they can develop him. It's all going to depend on the thoughts inside of the front office. If they believe they can develop him, they could say, "Oh, Lucas, I love the traits. Love to see what I have from him, and I believe we can make him into a starter." While Sapp is just you kind of know what you're getting right now from him because you haven't seen anything else. But Sapp has the much higher floor right now, while Lucas definitely has a higher ceiling.
Yeah, that's really well put.
Okay. Well, Newt, you want to take a few moments and identify yourself to our great Draft Professor audience and let them know about all of the other things that you do.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And most of it's here. A Draft Professor on the special Tuesday edition, usually Wednesday edition, 9 p.m. Eastern time. You can find me and typically Owen, but awesome pleasure to work with Drew tonight. This was a lot of fun. Just as a side note, I'm on Twitter at NFL Draft _Weston. I do run ZeroTechDraft.com. I have not posted to there in forever just because I'm getting right back into it. Probably see the earliest thing is going to be these defensive linemen and edge rusher rankings that come out just based on some of the early scouting that I'm doing. I'll go from there and get some early big boards. That's not going to be until like January, though. Best place on Twitter. Once again, at NFL Draft _Weston, or here on Mrs. Irrelevant on typically Wednesday nights.
I'm already making you lose track of what night it is.
I know. I'm just like going back and forth between a couple days.
Drew.
Yeah. Grateful to be able to be on here with Newt. It's been a great time being able to podcast here. But you can normally find me. I'm here on Sunday mornings. I believe it's at 9 o'clock Eastern. So, yeah, 9 a.m. And I'm on Twitter at Drew M. Collings. And I have a Saints podcast, Dome Discussions. Hard times right now, but we're still having a good time over there. Then I also
best time to talk about the draft then.
It is. I've already started basically every episode. Got to mention someone. So then I also have a Saints site I write on. That's Who Dat Dish. So you can find me anywhere on there or Twitter.
Awesome. So thank you for watching. And please give Drew and Newt a follow. Draft Professor cannot put this content out without Drew and Newt showing up once a week. In this case, Drew's pulling double duty because you will be able to catch Drew on Sunday covering defensive linemen. It's just different groups. And the group that Newt and Owen will have, Drew will recognize a few of the players because it's the group that you had on Sunday.
Is it the Saka and all them group? Or was
it
last week?
It's the Clev Lubin group.
Yep.
Okay. Newt and Owen will have Clev Lubin from Louisville, CJ Fight from Arizona State, Bear Alexander from Oregon, Derek Moore from Michigan, Akeem Mesidor from Miami, Ahmad Moten from Miami, Joshua Josephs from Tennessee, and DeMonte Capehart from Clemson.
That's a fun one.
So a few of the players that Drew had that came back graded low were removed, and I inserted other players, and that process continues. So Absolutely. By the time we're done doing all the scouting reports, nearly every episode should be loaded with players that draft professor consensus likes. I think it's the fair way to say that. The best thank you can give for being here is to go on YouTube and hit subscribe. The schedule is going across the bottom. Tomorrow you can see Corners at 7. You will see Owen and Jerry Ostrowski breaking down 8 offensive linemen at 9. And the early message, Newt, that I got from Owen is that he is now out on Armaj Reed Adams. So as much as Owen liked him last year, he is now out on Reed Adams this year.
I was like, he just finally found out how I feel about him.
Exactly.
So that's my old KU guy. Played a couple seasons with
KU swapped basically him and who's the center?
Bryce Foster, yeah.
Yeah, Bryce Foster.
Yeah. He's a beast.
They traded. I like Foster a lot, man. He's so much fun. Fan of him. Nice. I love hearing that.
He's great.
That was not a player that Owen and Jerry liked. So
Bryce Foster?
Foster was on the first show that Owen and Jerry did. Jerry's like, no.
Okay.
And Owen was equally low. Like
I'll fault Owen. I won't say anything about Jerry, but I'll fault Owen because
I trust Jerry's evaluations a lot. He's got some experience on the offensive line.
Yeah. He knows a thing or two, I've heard.
Cool. Well, for the 107 people at the Draft Professor, for Newt, for Drew, for Owen at his football meeting, myself, thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. This was a lot of fun, and we will see you on a podcast again tomorrow.